doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice.
No.
She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office. They were trying to get people to be supporting her just because she's a woman. This is going to be her history. Women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician, completely foolish. She's been foolish forever.
The key point here, which again the mainstream media won't pay attention to, which is Russia actually claimed to have had very negative and derogatory information about Hillary Clinton. That if they had chosen to release that in the weeks leading up to that November 2016 election, it would have very likely had a devastating effect on her campaign.
Totally. I mean, that she was addicted to tranquilizers.
When Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard team up, they don't hold back and they tell the truth like a big hammer hitting hard. Together, they break through the fake, pretty stories that important politicians tell, burning down the lies one harsh truth at a time. No sugarcoating, no waiting around, just a non-stop attack that leaves even the best liars shocked and speechless. And right in the middle of this word fight stands Hillary Clinton, facing two people who aren't here to have a nice chat. They're here to tear everything apart.
You're guilty of massive amounts of misinformation and disinformation as a part of a propaganda campaign.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into members of the Obama administration over the 2016 Russia investigation.
A lot of them are guilty of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are in that White House press conference, a lot of the organizations they work for, distributed absolute lies.
Total lies.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents that she says shows Obama administration officials manufactured intelligence to make it look like Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
How many of them during the whole Russiagate thing?
A lot of people think that the Russia thing was real.
Yeah. Still.
I mean, the whole Steele dossier where it was like completely concocted.
Funded by the Clinton campaign.
Right. This is how these people think. They don't actually care about the Constitution or free speech or the First Amendment, but ultimately they are more worried about we, the American people, criticizing them when they are failing to fulfill their fundamental and core responsibility to care for the American people in their greatest time of need than they actually do about caring for people in their greatest time of need.
Hillary Clinton's time in politics has always been about never giving up, but not in a good way. It's like when someone won't leave a party even after everyone else went home. The music stopped, and all the lights are turned on bright. And tonight, Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard are taking that stubbornness, shaking it out like a dirty old carpet, and showing everyone just how much political dirt has been piling up on it.
If you watch the conversation between James Comey,
110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information.
when James Comey testified about what he did and what they found with the Hillary Clinton emails, and then her version of it,
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material.
she's just a straight liar. She deleted 33,000
I
emails.
provided all my emails that could possibly be work-related.
Several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton.
When they rigged the DNC, they rigged the primaries so that Bernie Sanders was going to lose.
I thought using one device would be simpler.
She also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email.
She had her people into the
That
DNC
was great.
way in advance. That Donna Brazile book about it is mind-blowing.
If you like this video, please make sure to follow our channel and click the bell button. Joe Rogan starts by going straight to the heart of the Hillary myth. This picture she has painted of herself as the unstoppable political giant who was meant to win, the woman who was supposed to make history in the White House, but instead ended up writing books about why she couldn't beat a man who writes tweets in all big letters about hamburgers. Rogan doesn't waste any time pointing out that Clinton had every good thing going for her: money, TV, news, support, all the Democratic Party leaders, movie star support, and enough campaign money to run a small country, but still managed to trip over her own big dreams like it was a loose rug on the floor.
I'm sure the Clintons were there at some point.
Bill.
Bill is so
I
nice.
went one time. Was he?
He's so nice. Like when I met them,
Charming.
he is, and he's actually still kind of good looking. Like even for an older dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? He's still so good looking, and she's just so miserable.
Well, she's publicly humiliated, and she thought that her big retribution.
Tulsi Gabbard doesn't go easy on her either. She's not just talking about Hillary's political mess-ups, she's pulling out all the bad secrets Clinton has been hiding in closets for many years. The never-ending problems, the mistakes with other countries, the obsession with having power, and being willing to destroy entire groups of supporters if it meant staying important. Tulsi makes it super clear that Hillary's political career isn't just a story of missed chances, it's like a lesson on how to make voters angry, push away friends, and even make people in your own political party mad until the only people clapping for you are the people getting paid by your campaign.
January 2017 assessment is that Russia had decided to wait until Hillary Clinton won the election and wait until maybe days or weeks before her inauguration to release these documents once again to sow chaos and discord in America and to undermine her presidency before she would even have the opportunity to take the...
Rogan goes even deeper, cutting through Hillary's eye fight for regular people. Image with the skill of a doctor who's tired of doing surgery on the same patient over and over. Rogan tears apart her speeches, the ones so stiff and boring they could be used as cheap furniture from IKEA, and how they always sound like they've been tested by 17 different groups of people before anyone hears them. Every sentence planned out, every hand movement practiced, but somehow still landing with the excitement of an old computer screensaver from the 1990s.
The day of the election, I think they had some crazy odds of Hillary winning. It was like in the 90%. We watched it from the Comedy Store. We did a podcast from the Comedy Store called the End of the World podcast. What was most fascinating was the podcast was over and then we all went to the bar, and on the television, Jake Tapper was just seriously bummed out, talking about Trump winning all these different states.
And Anderson, it is hard to think of a political comeback that is actually more significant than this one. I'm tempted to say Richard Nixon, but that really falls short of what Donald Trump has achieved.
I think for a lot of people, that was the end of trust in mainstream media. That was the first nail in the coffin. Those like, you guys you were so wrong.
Tulsi, meanwhile, attacks the foreign policy disasters that Clinton either supported or just stood quietly by for the Iraq war vote, the Libya mess, the endless flirting with military action in places most Americans can't even find on a map. Gabbard paints Clinton as the ultimate establishment war hawk, the kind of politician who can talk about peace and working things out nicely while at the same time getting ready to punish other countries, like sharpening a set of steak knives. This roasting isn't just about politics, it's about personality, and Rogan knows exactly how to hit that sore spot. He calls out Hillary's inability to connect with people without sounding like she's trying to sell them a store loyalty card. Instead of looking at herself honestly, instead of admitting she ran a bad campaign that made voters in important states angry, Hillary chose to sell the story that she was the victim of a big international plot. Tulsi isn't believing it, and she's making it crystal clear that Clinton's obsession with blaming everyone else is one of the most boring political acts in modern times.
Key point here, which again the mainstream media won't pay attention to, which is Russia actually claimed to have very negative and derogatory information about Hillary Clinton. That if they had chosen to release in the weeks leading up to that November 2016 election, it would have very likely had a devastating effect on her campaign.
Totally. I mean, she was addicted to tranquilizers.
Yes.
And then you now look at...
Rogan takes a shot at the funny irony that even now, with Donald Trump sitting in the White House as the current president, Hillary still manages to push herself into political conversations as if she's the rightful owner of the throne. She's like a movie sequel nobody wanted, but the movie company keeps making because they think people missing the old days will pay money for it. It never works. Instead, the public gets another press tour, another wave of carefully planned sound bites, and another round of eye-rolling from people who remember how the last movie ended. Tulsi drives home the point that Hillary's political instincts are less like a smart mastermind and more like a GPS with broken directions. The 2016 campaign wasn't her first stumble, and here's where Rogan and Gabbard really get going, showing that Hillary's obsession with looking good has always been what ruins her. Every time she's tried to make herself look new and different, it's been another costume change in the same boring play. From First Lady to Senator to Secretary of State, the presidential candidate.
This just shows how desperate they were to keep Trump out.
Here's the important thing to me. What I learned is that the Russians were successful.
Which is wild.
They would do anything.
I don't think there's any way to read that report and not conclude they accomplished what they set out to do.
They just felt like this is a tool that we have, and let's use it. Let's just say whatever the fuck we have, say anything.
And to help Donald Trump. And they succeeded.
They repeated that lie. Completely lost respect for Obama when he repeated.
It's not about proving someone wrong. It's about erasing them from the conversation completely. And that's the mark of a politician who fears competition more than they respect democracy. The roasting keeps going with Rogan cracking jokes about Clinton's constant media presence. Even when not in office, she somehow manages to hang over politics like a drone that can't be shot down. Every new political scandal, every party shakeup, There's Hillary giving her opinion as if she's the moral authority no one remembers voting for. Rogan compares it to a sports announcer who never actually won a championship, but keeps explaining why the current players are doing everything wrong. The young people didn't believe it then, and they certainly aren't believing it now.
It is. Just the other day, we heard Hillary Clinton say that on Rachel Maddow's show that those who are spreading disinformation should be charged with either civil or criminal charges to act as a deterrent for people exercising their right to free speech. She said if social media doesn't start cracking down on free speech online, then they will be unable to...
Rogan lands another punch on the Clinton Foundation, that always controversial charity that seemed to work with the see-through quality of a brick wall. He doesn't even need to hint at wrongdoing. The way it looked alone was enough to make people question whether charity work was just another word for buying influence. And in politics, how things look is everything. Tulsi's final hits are aimed at the pure entitlement Clinton gives off. The idea that the presidency was hers by right, that losing was unfair, rather than what the people decided, has kept her in a political bubble for years. It's refusing to understand the situation, to accept that the country moved on while she was still getting ready for her next campaign book tour. By the time Rogan and Gabbard are finished, the picture is clear. Hillary Clinton isn't the future of the Democratic Party, she's the ghost of campaigns past. But if being qualified means losing to someone the media promised was unelectable, maybe that qualification belongs in the Hall of Fame for old cell phones.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see both sides, though. I see the side that if you're an anti-Trump person and you find out that he's doing something that's against the law, you'd want to prosecute him.
Yeah.
I see both sides.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't know the specifics of the Hillary Clinton email thing in terms of like what those files were, but if they're the same classification of files as like he had, you could make the argument they were more vulnerable because they were on a regular laptop.
Well, and it's still destroyed after a subpoena. After
Right.
a subpoena. I mean, imagine if Trump was subpoenaed for this information, and instead of handing it over, he burned it.
Right. That is where shit gets really squirrely.
Joe Rogan didn't have to work hard to point out that for someone with decades of political experience, her campaign felt like it was run by college interns during their lunch break. It was a perfect example of being too confident, like someone showing up to a chess game thinking the other person doesn't know the rules, and then losing in 7 moves. Tulsi Gabbard's roasting hit even harder because it came with the sting of betrayal. She had watched Hillary play the political game from the inside, and she knew the moves, the secret room deals, the planned leaks, the whispered nasty comments. Tulsi didn't just show Hillary's flaws, she ripped away the fake idea that this was a noble stateswoman wronged by cruel fate. Instead, it was the story of a political heavyweight who couldn't stop stepping on her own feet while trying to run toward the White House. What makes it even more crazy is how Hillary still describes her loss as a tragic accident, as if the stars lined up against her. Joe Rogan destroyed that by comparing it to blaming the weather after you crash your car while texting. Sure, the conditions weren't perfect, but maybe, just maybe, the problem was the driver. From Libya to Syria, Hillary's approach seemed less like diplomacy and more like someone playing the board game Risk with real countries. Tulsi painted the picture clearly. This wasn't the cool, smart leadership the media sold us. This was being reckless, dressed up in a power suit, and then there's the Clinton brand itself. Over decades, it's become a weird mix of entitlement and missing the old days.
Any of the Hillary Clinton email scandals was one of the reasons why Donald Trump got elected.
And the thing that you should be apologizing for are the 33,000 emails that you deleted and that you acid washed. There has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it. You get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up on that.
Joe Rogan pointed out that Hillary ran like the presidency was her turn, as if the country owed her the job because she'd been around long enough. That kind of thinking might work in a small-town bake sale committee, but not in a nation already suspicious of career politicians. Rogan's tearing apart of that mindset hit hard because it was true. She didn't seem to be running for the people. She seemed to be running for the prize she thought she was promised. Tulsi doubled down on that point by highlighting the disconnect between Hillary and the everyday voter. She talked about how while Americans were struggling to pay medical bills and find steady work, Hillary's campaign strategy seemed more focused on celebrity endorsements and carefully planned photo shoots. It was politics as a performance show, and the audience wasn't buying tickets. The result, an epic explosion that even the best spin doctors couldn't dress up as a moral victory. The beauty of this combined roasting was that Rogan brought the raw, unfiltered breakdown, while Tulsi brought the insider's surgical strike. Together they created a picture of Hillary Clinton that stripped away the mythology and left only the cold, uncomfortable reality.